Well, you guys caught us. You found out that we're not always exactly, our personalities aren't always exactly the same. Last Friday night, I came all gloom and doom, and Larry spent the first 20 minutes trying to cheer me up. That was a very different session, and many people commented on that. So I don't know. Today, I was pretty excited, Larry. Larry Goldberg is our guest, not even a guest anymore. You're just a co-host. So introducing you is like introducing me now.
Well, I feel very at home here, Andy. So thanks very much.
So it was a pretty cool day today. I like it when Tesla is going counter market.
Yeah, and I think we could point to quite a few, market circumstances in general. I think we have to acknowledge that there may well be, short covering going on. There are technical forces in the market that sometimes play and impact, the flow of funds and the share price. That's why unlike you, I don't really live and die by the daily action, as you know. I don't buy or sell to it. I regard the share price of Tesla right now as being very low.
Yes, very low.
And I see it as as an opportunity to add. I will say that the market is in a very balanced between the forces of good and evil, and so I'm not accruing as rapidly as perhaps I would have, based upon the Tesla share price, which is very positive, which I regard to be as very low right now. So it's very positive for me. But, I continue to worry about the potential recession, the potential macro environment. Although, by and large, I think the pointers are indicating that we may duck a bullet. We discussed this last week. So yeah, but in terms of today, the news from Tesla's perspective continues to be good. It continues to be positive.
And today, and right now, it seems to me to be particularly positive. And it was hard to really find much negative. And of course, I don't look for it very hard. That's just my personality.
Well, you need to read the newspapers. The daily grind, the financial pages on the daily grind keeps telling us how bad Tesla is.
Well, that I do look at those articles, but I also look at them and decide whether or not they are clever enough to even bother reporting. Right. And in those cases, they're either out of date, completely confused, etc. So I don't even bother to report them. Well, let's take a look, Larry. I've got 12 items now. I had 11. I added a 12th one that you don't even know what's on there yet. But anyway, so let's take a look. India looks like they're close to making a deal on lowering this tariff because they're talking about a specific 5-year deal.
Well, we absolutely talked about this last week. I think the India situation is going to coalesce very rapidly. I haven't followed today's particular news, but when I saw it coming across the wire, I certainly didn't evince any surprise at all, because it's clear to me what's happening. It's absolutely clear what's happening. And I think this is just the first of, many good news drops from India. I think we're on a really good track with India.
Yeah, and so they would lower the tariff, I think, to 15%. When they start talking all these specifics is when I feel like they're pretty close to making a deal. So they drop it from 70% on vehicles under $40,000 and 100%. That's their current tariff on cars that are over 40,000, all the way down to 15%.
I would just counsel one thing.
Yes.
as an old India hand, very old India hand, my experience is that these stories swirl.
Yes.
Sometimes, they're ephemeral. So, I wouldn't put too much credence in too much specifics, but I think we're going to see a break.
Yeah.
A very significant break. And I think we're going to finally see Teslas on the road in India. And I think we're going to see, serious conversations about opening a factory in India, either in Gujarat or Pune. I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, my second one is that Elon says, oh, we're going to have version 12 of FSD in about 2 weeks. Now, about 2 weeks I haven't gone back, and maybe we should, do some data points and see what the average is when he proclaims about 2 weeks. But it probably isn't like months and months. So
it's seldom when he talks about 2 weeks, is it more than 3 or 4 months?
There you go. Okay.
But it can be as much as 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
I think he's seen the cut, the developer's cut of the product. That would be my guess. I'm sure that he has tried, he's driven it. And I think that it's a matter of, the testers, getting through the entire suite and, not finding any obvious gotchas. What worries me a little bit is that he talked about, version 12 not being beta. So I don't think they're going to release version 12. I think that they're going to release a pre-release of version 12 to the beta test.
Feels like beta.
That would be my guess. And I think it would be announced. My belief is that it will be announced, at the Cybertruck launch.
At the Cybertruck launch. Okay. All right. And you're not going to be able to go this time, right? Is that my understanding? You're not going?
No, I'm on my way to New York next week, and I'm really, really jonesing to get to the launch of Starship. I'm hoping that Starship is delayed 3 or 4 days beyond 17th. I'll fly out there, so I'm going to miss it. I would love to be there.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. So number 3 on this list is Europe's largest car evaluator and reviewer and advice firm, Parker's, named the Tesla Model Y long range the best company car for 2024. And this is the second, I think. I don't know whether Parker did it before or whether it was a different company in Europe who I think was in England last time. I think it was UK, saying that it was the best company car. And this got very little play today, but I think this is significant.
It's very significant because, as we both know, and perhaps our listeners are not aware of this, but companies are the buyers of cars in Europe and the UK.
Right.
That's who buys 50 to 60% of the vehicles. And in some countries, up to 90% of the vehicles.
Wow. Okay.
So, whether you're in most of Europe or the UK, Israel, I know, if you want a car, your best bet is to have the company buy you the car from a tax perspective and from, financial perspective. So when a corporate car buyer says Tesla, then the other buyers used to knit their brow and say, who's that? Because the guy who calls on me, the guy who's my buddy, the guy I go to dinner with, the guy who, I schmooze with, he's not from Tesla.
Yeah.
Well, the worm is turning. So this is very important news, Randy.
All right. And so that might have played in today. I don't know. The fourth one was that the Cybertruck is just 2 weeks away, or a little over 2 weeks away, 2 weeks from Thursday, and the FOMO might be starting, might have been part of the effect today.
Yeah, there was a lot of chatter on X today Not that I had much opportunity to read much of it because I had a very busy day, but there was a lot of chatter around the conversation that Tesla is not going to allow the resale
Oh, yes.
of the Cybertruck. And a lot of people got pretty twisted about that. But to me, it's an indication that the pricing is going to be normal, but the demand is through the roof, as we know. And it would be very, very bad, very, very bad for the company and for the buyer and for the owners of Cybertrucks for people to try and scalp using the Cybertruck. So I'm very, very supportive of it. A lot of my colleagues and friends were some of them were very bitter and twisted about it. But I think it's a very important indicator that the demand, remains very, very solid. I saw an auction where purportedly there was a $500,000 bid for a low serial numbered Cybertruck. Well, that gives you an indication of the level of demand and the opportunity for scalping. And scalping does nobody any good at all, except for the scalper.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's very important, but it's also an indication of this tremendous demand that's built up.
Number 5 is that the China numbers are getting more and more solid, that we're going to hit that 1.8 million.
I'm gonna raise you.
Okay.
I think we will hit 1.8 million, but I think we're headed to 2.4 million next year.
Wow, that's a really strong number. Larry, you're outdoing me again.
I am. I think that we do not realize the strength of the Tesla demand or the Tesla opportunity for the coming year, the productivity of the China factory, the productivity of the Berlin factory, and the demand in Europe and China, as well as in the US. And I think that, contrary to all the cognoscenti, I think we're going to hit that 2.4 million next year.
That would be fantastic. That would also obviously drive. If the street believes that, as opposed to their current number around 2.1, that would be huge. Obviously,
I would like them to stick with their 2.1. I would like to be, get back to the habit of making the street look bad every quarter.
That would be good. So then we're 6 weeks into the quarter, and there hasn't been a price decrease. In fact, a couple of small increases.
There's a price increase today.
Another price increase today.
Another price increase today in China, Model Y, up a bit. China. Well, it just happened. It just came across the wire. I didn't read the detail of it. A couple of $100. But yeah, it was a price increase today. I mean, the indications on inventory, the indications on pricing, the indications are that we've got a healthy balance between price and demand. Again, I'll say it again for the record, we just don't have the product to do the volume that we could do if we had the product.
Yeah.
And so again, the faster we move to roll out this product, the better, notwithstanding Elon's concerns about, recession and so on and so forth. But, I think they're moving very rapidly in Texas. That's the impression I've got.
So then if in fact we've had no price decreases and we've had a few price increases and we're halfway through the quarter already, that would also, I think, give the big investors, the Wall Street types, that confidence that Gary Black has been looking for, that the margins will that they've bottomed and that we're going to return to some increasing margins.
I don't set a lot of store by these investment managers. What does Gary call them? Portfolio managers, PMs. I really don't. I think these guys are way behind the curve, I have to say, and they play catch up, and they're very cautious, and they're not believers. So yeah, it will improve the matter, but they're still going to get caught with their pants down.
Number 7 on my list is that Ron Barron made some very positive statements, but he's done that before. But he kind of slipped in there that your favorite car, the Gen 3, is 12 to 18 months away. Ron's the number 1 stockholder, number 2 after Elon, stockholder in Tesla. My guess is maybe he doesn't get inside information, but he gets something really close to inside information. What do you think?
Ron Barron's walked the production line, in Giga, Texas. Ron Barron has a lot of connections to Tesla. I've got to say, I put a lot more store in what Ron Barron tells me than what some random analyst tells me. I've gone on record and said that, I posted on X the other day, somebody said, oh, they won't have a car for X number. I said, because they're, canceling Texas, Mexico. And so I said, they are building the next gen in Giga Texas, and it'll come out of Giga Texas. And I'm convinced of it.
In 2024 or 2025?
I think we'll see the production begin in 2024. I'd be very, very disappointed if we do not see actual production units emerge in 2024. Now, we may not actually get deliveries in 2024. That's an open issue. Mm-hmm. But I think we will start seeing photographs of, plastic wrapped.
Right. Okay.
Model Z's running around.
Number 8 on the list, interest rates are headed down, not up. And the expectation of interest rate cuts in 2024, and it's being confirmed day after day. This is probably having an impact, again, on the thinking of the longer term investor.
Yeah, that's a macro issue. And, it's possible. I mean, if my fears and Elon's fears are true and that we are in this rolling recession, they're going to have to cut quite dramatically. So it's a race between
interest
rates, the Federal Reserve waking up, rates getting down fast enough.
Yeah. We of course that are in the Tesla world and trusting Elon's judgment, we don't care about the competition. In fact, we're cheering on the competition to become successful. But most people, even a lot of followers of Tesla, want Ford and General Motors and VW and Toyota and all these guys to fail. And this last 10 days, Ford, General Motors, VW, Lucid, and Fisker are also all looking like pretty big failures.
I don't know what to tell you. I think there's such bad decision-making taking place. You mentioned, Volkswagen, that kind of represents the Germans, but when you hear the statements made by the folks at BMW and Daimler, you have to be very concerned. I'm very concerned. Look, I'm not that worried about Lucid and Fisker. They could go away and nothing will happen. But I am worried about Ford and GM and Volkswagen and Daimler and BMW. They've lost the market in China. That's it. They've lost.
Gone, done. Yeah.
They're no longer there.
Right.
That's a canary in the coal mine.
Yeah. The biggest market in the world, the number 1 car market. Yeah.
And do they think they're going to defend the European market? Do they think they're going to defend the American market? Do they think they're going to defend the Asian market outside of China? There's no way.
Yeah. Tesla
are going to have their hands full competing with the Chinese, and that's a good thing.
Right.
Tesla and for the Chinese.
Right.
But how are these guys going to manage?
But the investing public would be looking, I think, at this in the traditional way. Here's a bunch of competitors falling off the map in the last week, and one after another is probably having an impact on thinking.
There was an article in the Wall Street Journal today about how, EVs are no longer popular and, nobody wants them anymore. I mean, these guys they're as blind as the OEMs, the legacy OEMs. What are these guys thinking?
I know, it's rough out there. So number 10 on the list is that EG, who I had never heard of before today, and they're at least the second major owner I had heard of BP, of petrol stations and mini marts to commit to Tesla chargers. And I think that's already happening in China as well. I just can't remember any of the names of the companies over there. This could become, Larry, this could become a second chapter in your book about the importance of the chargers. If Tesla becomes...
I mean, I posted a very long thread about the quality of Tesla's superchargers and what they're doing, and that the rest of the world are going to have to catch up. Now, I didn't talk about the European market, where there are a lot of competitors, and clearly they see the quality of the Tesla supercharger, the price of the Tesla supercharger, the productivity of the Tesla supercharger, and they knocked on the door and said, "Can we buy it?" Now, I think a lot of people are going to knock on Tesla's door to buy a lot of Tesla's engineering, and I've spoken about this at very great length.
Right.
Tesla being an OEM supplier to the rest of the industry. Well, this is the beginning. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. The supercharger is very profitable. Oh. There was some conversation in some private threads about, oh, do you think they can make 20%? Well, as if, I mean, the supercharger that Tesla produces is extremely reliable, extremely efficient, and it is between 20 and 50% cheaper than the competitors in terms of cost of build.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer. And if you think about the factories that Tesla already have set up to produce these goods, what surprised me is there's no factory in Europe producing these, unless there's one in Holland that they're doing. I mean, have they been importing them into? I don't know. So the fact that Europe has signed up is a very, very intriguing issue. And, it's kind of my expectation. And I think we're going to see an announcement before the end of this year about the sale of a major OEM component.
Right. Mm-hmm.
From within the vehicle to a third party.
Right. Either software or hardware.
Coming, it's not far away.
So number 11, I didn't make you privy to, Larry. So you just I think you'll be able to handle it though. CalPERS announced, or well, they put out their normal quarterly statement of what they bought and sold in the third quarter, and they bought another huge block of Tesla. And CalPERS, the California, teachers union, teachers and administrators of the California school system. They're the largest pension fund in the country, and they 50% increase in their holdings in the third quarter of Tesla stock. I have to believe that, and they're also considered to be one of the most successful administrators of a pension in the world in terms of their normal return on investment. I have to think other pensions are going to be looking at this, and that this also could have had an impact on the stock today.
Yeah, CalPERS are a very highly respected organization. They've had some interesting history. The fact that they are serious buyers of Tesla is important. I'm always hesitant about these stories about institutions because institutions are incredibly fickle. They are really fickle, but and they're subject to all kinds of political pressures.
Right.
The fact that CalPERS have made this buy now, or have added to their buy now, I think is important. I think it points to what I've been saying all along, that Tesla is very, very inexpensive right now. It's a really fantastic buy opportunity. And to think it was almost 40% less expensive just, less than a year ago.
Right. Well, and CalPERS speaks specifically to what you just said. CalPERS, if anything, you would expect to be all about ESG and about being woke or being left. Yet here they are. They're definitely not virtue signaling in this particular decision, which would again say to all the rest of the pensions who might be inclined to be more of an ESG or to the left that, okay, CalPERS can buy it. I guess we can too.
We can have this conversation in another session, but I think ESG has just died.
Oh yes, I think it's on the way out.
I think it just turned over and died. I think that bird is dead.
Okay, number 12 on the list is I've noticed that a lot of the technicians right now seem bullish on Tesla. They're talking about a 225. It's got to pass that, or 230. And once it does, there's kind of a real big gap on their charts.
It's over my head, Randy.
Over mine too, but
that's above my pay grade. I don't have any.
My technical analysis has been and continues to be, I go back and look at the charts the last time it ran up from 200 to 300, and it was basically like this. There were no stopping points. It was like, but there wasn't any obvious places where the stock was being held back. So who knows? But anyway, so those are 12 different things that could have impacted the market today. And then we've got something coming tomorrow, which could not only impact the entire market, but could put a little bit of a blowback on Tesla's stock price if it doesn't come in right. The CPI is coming tomorrow, the PPI the next day. Trueflation changed their numbers last week. And so they're now saying that 3% is about where we are. But the street is saying that the month to month will drop from 3.7 to 3.4 on an annualized basis. But the headline will stay even at 4.1. Do you think we beat that?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I have no idea. I'll use my mother's expression that comes from the old country, "Ik weet niet." Just don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, this is, there's no way to know. I mean, the numbers from month to month are of such little help. I look at the money supply.
Yeah.
I look at the velocity of money.
Right.
That's what I look at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And right now, the velocity of money is still remaining very low, and the money supply is turned down. And so I think that we are going to have to start pumping money into the economy. Not we are going to have to.
Yeah.
The Reserve Bank is going to feel compelled
to
pump money into the economy within the next month or so.
All right. Well, the last thought that I have for us today is that the National Federation of Independent Businesses comes out with its optimism report tomorrow. And usually this report gets not much attention. And it also generally, if it gets any attention at all, it's a single number, like is it above or below last month's number? But I've been digging into this NFIB report the last few months, and there's commonly way more interesting stuff in that report than some of the other ones. And a nugget that I got last month was that only 2% of all these small businesses are worried about borrowing money. Apparently they don't need to borrow, or if they do need to borrow, they know that the facility is there. Maybe it's just their credit card. Maybe they don't need a big facility, but they just, they're
Randy,
not.
we do know that the public are sitting with a large amount of money in reserve, in money market funds for the most part, but they're sitting with a large amount of cash. And that leeches, that strongly influences the money that private enterprise, small businesses have. And I think those two play into one another. This economic recession, if it's going to be a recession, or this economic downturn, has nothing to do with the small business person or the individual or the private, because balance sheets, private balance sheets, we've said on this program before, are pretty good.
Yeah.
If you look at the public balance sheets, if you look at the debt in public companies, however, and if you look at the debt in governments, you see very high debt with potential for extremely high interest costs. And lack of ability to borrow further, or constraints on borrowing further. So it stands to reason that the small business guy is okay, which is a blessing because the small banks are not okay. And I've seen concerns about the small banks in multiple different places. But as long as savings prevail, as long as the level of savings prevail, and until it's exhausted, unless it's exhausted, I think that the individual is going to be okay. If there's going to be a recession, it's not going to be a recession of the individual, it's going to be a recession of the larger entities.
All right, well, let's take a look at the market right now, Larry. It says here that Tesla is up $2.57 in the after hours, and that is at the close of the after hours. So $9 on the day, and then another $2.57 in the after hours. Always like to see that it carries through. And so unless there's some really bad news on the CPI in the morning, we could probably look at a continuation of the rally in Tesla tomorrow. I am looking for an opportunity, Larry. For once I'm doing a little day trading. I'm looking for an opportunity to trade out of my leap. So I'm looking for a high point, a point where I think it might top out, so I can sell my leap and then wait for it to drop about 2% and then buy a further out leap.
Well, if history serves, the end of this quarter, the delivery number and the earnings call for next quarter will be your opportunity to buy in again. So we're reaching a point probably in the cycle, in the traditional cycle, where it's time to get out of the leap before the time to get in the leap. And it's not investment advice, but that's how this cookie crumbles.
Exactly. All right, let's look at the pre-market. We have things pretty flat. The Dow is up $1, the S&P is up $2, and the NASDAQ is up $20.
Well, the CPI and PPI is controlling right now. Everybody's figuring around. And so it's a very, it's an incredibly micro market right now.
The crypto down $778. So it has been all over this place this week. Trading gold and trading crypto recently would have been a lot more fun on a day trade basis. There's been plenty of oscillation in both of those. The dollar is staying high, but it says it's slipping a little now, but the dollar is the gold standard, so to speak, right now. Gold, 1951, up $1 after hours. Oil, only up $0.25, but it is moving back towards 80 again, Larry. I don't like that. I want it to stay in the 70s. So it's at $78.52. And the bonds are up, the 10-year is up 2 basis points at 4.65. 4.65 is about smack in the middle of where it's been trading for the last 10 days or whatever. It's been up or down from 4.65. So that's right in the middle. The 2-month is spreading out again. And the 2-year is, so 2-year is only up 1 basis point compared to, now the 10 years, it's two basis points on the 10-year and 1 basis point on the 2-year. So,
Randy.
Yes.
Please start adding copper to your evening.
Copper. I will. We can do that right now, Larry. We have the technology.
Copper is the leading indicator.
Copper is up a fraction of a cent. Fraction of a cent, 0.1% in the after hours. It's at $3.67, but since I haven't been following it, I don't know how.
That's pretty good for copper. I mean, you know, copper was down for a while. It's now getting back up
up
there,
a bit. All right.
as is oil.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, Larry, I think we've covered everything that we're supposed to cover. Of course, everybody needs to go out and follow Larry at Tesla Larry. They need to buy some Cybertruck bottle openers for Christmas. I mean, it's Christmas. Christmas is coming. So, you know, you need to get out and get that list taken care of. Larry, anything else on your mind tonight before we close out for the day?
No, I'm on my way to New York this week. I'm going to spend a couple of days, well, a weekend there. I'm going to take my, you know, I just did a trip to Greenville.
Yes.
I drove from Raleigh, North Carolina, all the way to Greenville, not a stop. And this is my second trip to Greenville in the last week. Greenville, South Carolina.
Right.
It's a lovely city, by the way, but no Teslas. You
Yes.
get into middle America here, you get out of the coast, you get into the, you know, and there are no Teslas. Guys, advertise.
Somebody did say that South Carolina, you can't buy it direct from Tesla. They have they're one of the states that has the rule that you have to buy it from a dealer. So that could be part of the problem in Greenville.
That could be.
Could be.
I didn't even know that. But
that was in the comments. It was in the yeah. There's about how many states? There's like a bunch, maybe 14 states that still have that rule, something like that. I'm sure that in the comments somebody will correct me on that one.
Terrible.
Have a nice trip up to New York. We'll talk to you on Friday, if not before.
Yep, and I'll be in New York then. And so, all the best, everybody. Be careful out there.
That's all right. Okay, and it's been great talking to all of you.